The leader of the main opposition Republican People's Party, CHP, has proposed that the leader of the Nationalist Movement Party, MHP, a party which received fewer deputies in parliament than the CHP in the June 7 general election, be the prime minister of a possible CHP-MHP coalition government, a daily reported on Friday. In remarks to the Sözcü daily, CHP leader Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu said that he is ready to leave the post of prime minister to MHP leader Devlet Bahçeli should the MHP agree to join forces with the CHP in a coalition. Kılıçdaroğlu's proposal is almost unprecedented in Turkish politics in that a party leader is offering the leader of a party that obtained many fewer seats to head a joint government. Following a general election in which no single party managed to win a majority in parliament, the chances of a grand coalition government of opposition parties appear slim, with the MHP so far refusing to consider a government that would rely on the tacit support of the People's Democratic Party, HDP. MHP Parliamentary Group Deputy Chairman Yusuf Halalı told reporters on Friday that Bahçeli would not abandon his principles just to become prime minister. He added that Bahçeli is known to always serve his country rather than the party's or his own personal interests. The CHP has been pushing for a coalition government that would exclude the Justice and Development Party, AK Party, with the intention of putting in place a restoration government aimed at repairing the damage the AK Party has inflicted on the country's democratic system and calling to account AK Party figures accused of corruption. Also speaking to reporters on Friday, in an apparent response to Halalı's remarks, Kılıçdaroğlu said that he made his call to Bahçeli in the best interests of the country. The priority is Turkey, Kılıçdaroğlu said while leaving parliament after attending the funeral ceremony for former President Süleyman Demirel. When asked whether or not Bahçeli had responded to his call, the CHP leader said, "No, nothing yet." Stressing that his party intends to change its old habits, Kılıçdaroğlu added, "I'll be the prime minister or you will be the prime minister. These are old habits. We have declared our principles in 14 articles. Let the other parties declare their principles and then we can find out which party's principles are compatible with each other. I have never had a passion for positions and I never will have." In the June 7 elections, the CHP won a total of 132 deputies, while the MHP received 80. Arguing that snap elections would mean that political parties had failed to do their part after the nation expressed its will in the general election, Kılıçdaroğlu said in remarks obviously aimed particularly at the three opposition parties that we all need to reach a consensus. The MHP has so far closed doors on a grand coalition involving all three opposition parties in parliament because such a coalition would require the support of the pro-Kurdish HDP. The MHP has ruled out any cooperation with the HDP, which it sees as advocating Kurdish separatism. Kılıçdaroğlu's proposal implies that the HDP would, as many expect, support a CHP-MHP coalition in a parliamentary vote of confidence, while not being a formal coalition member. Like the MHP, the HDP is represented by 80 deputies in parliament. To form a government, a coalition scenario excluding the AK party would need to obtain the support of all three opposition parties represented in parliament in order to accumulate a total of at least 276 deputies, the number of seats that represents an absolute majority in the 550-seat parliament. Noting that Bahçeli had already ruled the possibility of a coalition supported by the HDP, even from outside, Halalı said, "It is obvious that the CHP's proposal will not work out." Bahçeli ruled out any possibility of joining forces with the HDP in an interview with the Etikhaber news portal this week, dealing a lethal blow to hopes of a coalition option that would exclude the AK party. "We will have nothing to do with any coalition formula in which the HDP will be a part of or will support from outside," Bahçeli said. The MHP argues that the HDP is closely associated with the outlawed Kurdistan Workers' Party, PKK, which is recognized as a terrorist organization by Turkey, the US and the EU. The now stalled settlement process launched by the government to resolve the country's terrorism problem and Kurdish issue also makes it difficult for the MHP and the HDP to come together. While the MHP is completely against the settlement process, launched at the end of 2012 with the support of imprisoned PKK leader Abdullah Öcalan, the HDP demands autonomy for the predominantly Kurdish-populated southeast, the recognition of Kurdish as an official language and schooling in Kurdish in public schools. The MHP argues that the settlement process will lead to the disintegration of the country. In remarks to Sözcü, CHP leader Kılıçdaroğlu underlined that the focus of parties should be the problems of the country rather than their differences over the settlement process. He also said that politics is the art of finding solutions to problems and that the promises given by all three opposition parties during the election campaign are strikingly similar. They, the CHP, the MHP, and the HDP, can unite over their common commitment to seeking solutions to the problems that Turkey is suffering from, Kılıçdaroğlu said. Although the AK party emerged victorious in the election, receiving 41% of the vote, its 258 deputies are insufficient to form a single-party government. With the MHP ruling out cooperation with the HDP, options that include the AK party, which has been in power since 2002, have come to the forefront. A senior MHP official said late on Thursday that it is not possible to form a coalition without the AK party. There is no coalition option that excludes the AK party, MHP Deputy Chairman Mevlut Karakaya told the BBC's Turkish service. Karakaya suggested that the AK party first try to forge a coalition with the HDP because the two are partners in the settlement process. Civil society groups call for a coalition. Meanwhile, several anonymous civil society groups placed an advertisement in the Hurriyet Daily on Friday calling for the formation of a coalition between the CHP, the MHP, and the HDP. The groups only described themselves by a reference to their websites, akpimekkumdegalize.org, which means we are not obliged to the AKP, turkiyesahisizdegal.org, which means Turkey is not abandoned, and altmiskirktanbulatanyuktur.org, which means 60 is bigger than 40. In the advertisement, the groups said that such a coalition would not only take the necessary steps for a restoration of democratic and economic health to the country but would also fight against corruption, of which some AK party figures have been accused. Although the AK party is emerging as a central figure in coalition talks, there are still major roadblocks before such a coalition because opposition parties have a number of preconditions. Demands by the opposition include bringing to justice all those involved in corruption, the elimination of anti-democratic laws and enforcing the constitutional limits to the exercise of power by President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Acting Prime Minister Ahmet Davutoğlu recently said that opting for snap elections rather than attempting to form a coalition would be disrespectful to voters. An AK party CHP coalition is also possible, but it is thought that most CHP supports are opposed to such a prospect. Since two sweeping graft probes went public in December 2013, the AK party has been identified by supporters of opposition parties with corruption, authoritarian rule, and discourse bordering on hate speech towards opposition voices.